Yeah, you've got two of them because
Oh, the other package.
I didn't know how adaptable you were gonna be this one. No. I would like to do this one. If not, here's what I'm hoping, here's what I'd like to try. One of us starts out to give me, if not us, not them.
Bob to do it.
If not now, then when? Well, I don't know if Bob knows it really well.
Oh,
I don't know it very well.
all right.
If you want me to,
Let you learn it real fast. But I think here's our singing starting. Giving yourself the key or somebody the key. If not us, not them. If not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this world, then when? If not us. So I'm thinking, one person can do that.
Okay, so you want to do a solo that first time through?
We're gonna repeat this a bunch of times. I want to change it up. So one person, and then maybe another person, and then we'd all join in.
Yeah.
We can even do, cut those things in half so they're the same. Four of us. So if somebody do that, there's one of us.
The only difference is this other option.
If not us, not them, then when? Somebody else not here, if not nor there. If not this world, where? Somebody else would do.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I missed that.
If not us, then, if not now, then when? Somebody else, if not here, nor there. Not this world, where? And then the men. If not us, not them. If not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this world, get ready. Not them, not now, and when? Not here, nor there. Not this world. All of us, if not us, not them, not now.
We're doing the voice one and voice two version, not the 3, 5, and 6. 1, 2.
have somebody, just one person.
One person do each, each verse. Too much splitting around. I think Ken should do the first one and Don should do the second one, then the men and the women, then we all do it. That's my.
You're going to do the first one?
No.
And then, so let's look at one voice and two voice. And then we'll do it men, women, everybody. And then we'll finish with that single strum. Or else just a cappella again. Let's
Yeah,
try
do that
both
one,
ways.
do the
Let's
last
try
one Acapulco.
one voice, two voice, men, women, congregation, one strum, acapella.
Whose voice one?
Whose voice yet? You want to try it?
Sure.
What do you need? A key?
Just a key.
Whose voice
We'll
two?
play the, we'll play guitar.
Whose voice two? Whose voice two?
Christina.
His voice two? Okay.
If not us, not them. If not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this if not this world, then where?
You don't have to start, we can, jail this and record.
Yeah.
If not this world, then where? Not then, not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this world, then where?
Not then, not now, and when, if not here, nor there, if not this
Not then, if not now, then not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this world, then if not this world, then where?
This is really low. Yeah. Okay, yeah, can you try it once just in G like it's written instead of on the paper, just because we have to take a little bit more and that would make us back to work.
Not now, then when? Not here, nor there. Not this world.
You guys are already on up there. If I can't go forward, if I can't go forward, that's something like me. Was that okay?
Yeah, I'm all right with the 4.
Okay, well, I had to get rid of the phone.
Are you going 5?
More wine. More wine.
Does Kate went to 5 make it?
Makes us off of one.
Not now, then when? If not here, nor there. If not this world, then where?
It's good enough until tomorrow.
Just go up and settle down.
So good with thee with love. One leading with love, then lead with love. Put one foot on the other and lead with love. Put one foot from the other and lead with love.
Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on.
Put one foot from the other and lead with love. Put one foot from the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot from the other and lead with love. Put one foot from the other and lead with love.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there.
You gotta put one foot from the other and lead with love. Put one foot from the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot from the other and lead with love. Put one foot from the other and lead with love. I know you're scared and I'm scared too, and I'm scared too, but here I am. from the other, and lead with love. Put one foot from the other, and lead with love. Put one foot from the other, and lead with love. Put one foot from the other, and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love.
Yeah, and everybody, I like it.
We split up pretty well on the slide.
Finding that, yeah.
All right.
How about we change key?
Close enough.
You want to do hallelujah once, or you want to?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah and
Starts
D.
back.
Yeah, listen to it.
Hey,
Is it an A you want?
I want to think key.
D. D.
I feel this way.
Okay, start again.
Every time I feel this way, this old familiar sinking, I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. It's been said, and I do believe, as you ask, so shall you receive. So take from me these troubles, bring me sweet release, where the river will never run dry. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. There is a river in this heart of hearts, with a knowingness of my highest good. I am willing, I will do my part, where the river will never run dry. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. Hallelujah, hallelujah. By and by I will lay my troubles down by the water, where the river will never run dry. This river will never run dry. This river will never run dry.
And I am.
How many roads must the must we all?
We can skip that. How about, this? How about we start from distance?
What do you want to do?
From a distance.
From a distance,
There it is.
the world looks blue and green.
You're mostly singing this? Or?
Don's gonna join me,
Okay, so we're oohing.
now, we was actually, anybody have any notes on this one?
No, you gave us new pieces of paper.
voice of hope. It's the voice of peace. It's the voice of everyone. From a distance, we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, but hungry mouths to feed. From a distance, we are instruments, marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of everyone. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us. Listen. From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. From a distance, I just can't comprehend what all this fighting for.
Let's stop it.
Yeah,
Because that's where
you
or I were taking that,
Well, yeah, I thought I went first and you went second.
Yeah.
No, I think you did both of those.
So we're not singing, we the crew.
No,
Yeah.
Just on that
Because it's
little
like
bit.
two people talking to each other.
Right,
That's
right.
Yeah, so we gotta figure out which.
Maybe even in them, even though we maybe reminiscing.
Yeah, it's like you
Yeah,
guys.
let's just alternate it then. I can do that thing I'm used to doing.
Yeah, on those two.
And you do the second part of each one.
And then we come in, from a distance, there's harmony. Yeah.
So at the top of that column is just, is Don and me alternating the lines.
Yeah, okay.
If we come into a little instrumental thing.
So I go first. Yeah.
From a distance, you look like my friend.
Oh, I think you're, is that where we're doing
When
it?
you do,
Yeah,
even though
yeah, you're even.
we
You're the
are-
second half.
Then you get the second, and then you use the.
I thought we did 2 lines each.
Yeah.
I led,
You
and
too.
then you followed with
From a
the-
distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war. Then Don goes, from distance, I just cannot.
or the other way around.
Or the other.
Either way.
I'll start.
Okay,
All right.
somebody do. Here you go.
From a distance, you look like my friend, even though we are at war.
From a distance, I just cannot comprehend what is right to his voice.
From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hope, it's the love of love, it's the heart of everyone. It's the hope of hope, it's the love of love, it's the song of everyone. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. Oh, God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance.
Were you gonna let me do the last?
I think,
Do the last?
yeah, I think so.
From a distance. I can pause as long as I want.
Yeah.
So, write that in.
So how much, we do the God is watching us, and then you do the from the distance, split the line.
God is watching us, God is watching us. There's no us on that track. catches you all the time.
Okay, watch it, yeah.
God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us. How about this?
So let's confirm, Ken, how we're doing the verses.
Did you skip refrain two, are we not doing, or is that?
I didn't know that
There's no chorus in between, it just goes from verse one to verse two, there's nothing, it just goes.
Yes, yeah.
Just as it's written, right down the page, okay.
Yeah. So Don's speaking for
Oh, good. I need a nap.
And what about the other verses? Because you, on the third verse, we've got that same thing going. From a distance, we all have enough, and there are no guns, no bombs, and no disease. It's one of those up and down things too. Should we do the same thing there?
I'm not understanding.
Oh, okay. So the third verse, from a distance, we all have enough, has that same melody to it that the one we're splitting has. Yeah, so should we do the same thing front 2 and 2? Or not? Because I think that's one that you should keep doing.
I don't care what's your preference. Just leave it alone, or just you and I take them.
You guys got a mic.
It's hard to say.
We're gonna have Don on the mic. And that's the question, tomorrow,
We
the
don't know how.
sound system,
We don't know.
their sound guy is traveling. So I told Shuey, I may just bring the stuff, the two
Yeah.
speakers.
Yeah.
And drop you.
Do I need to bring him a mic?
Would you bring your mic tomorrow?
Yeah,
I'll bring a couple mics, I'll bring a mic stand.
yeah.
This week.
Okay, so are we splitting
What's the
that one?
decision on that?
Split it,
Split it?
split it, Don and Ken. From a distance, we all have enough, so that's Don.
Yeah,
And then there are no guns, is Ken.
yeah. And then the other verses we all do?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if there's no sound, if the sound system is crappy tomorrow, we just all do it. Okay, so we can be, we'll try it, so we can be good.
Okay.
Okay, Lori's up for this thing.
I am?
I don't know that we have to practice that.
Don't need to practice that one? How about just this stuff?
Which one?
Singing for your life.
Yeah.
And we're not capable of
Skip
nothing,
it.
right? Correct?
Not capable.
Where are we going now?
I think, for me, it always helps me if I play
Yeah,
the whole thing instead of, I suggested just the ending.
yeah, I think it'll,
It always sounds good to me when I play. So we'll play
The whole line.
the whole line for our intro.
We are gentle and free, and we're singing, singing for our lives.
Intro is the first line.
okay, that works.
Then it's Jim's song.
Oh, we do
Change
this
the
guy?
key. Change the key to E.
Another change? My God, I can't keep up with this.
Something happened here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there. He's telling me I got to beware. Think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
One, two, one, two.
Make a difference. Go make a difference in the world.
The love of you and me. We are the light of the world, not to be hidden, but to see.
Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world.
Just a little pause before the second.
And Dix's.
Pause. Go make a difference in the world.
We had a gate, huh?
Go make a difference. We can make a difference. Go make a difference in the world. That's good, Ron. Reaching out to those in need. Raising God for all to see. This one's for another time too. It would be fun to have just solo voices. If you had microphones. Solo voices.
Hey, before I forget to remember, what time are we meeting where tomorrow?
Their service starts at 10:15. I think we're expected to start playing at 10.
Yeah.
We only have 2 songs.
Yeah, so ten
It's 10. And then I'm in either at 9 because of sound system.
Okay.
Bob and I are going over.
Yeah.
Hope to be there at 9 if she said she'd be a song. You
Okay.
can come anytime. But
But you want to run a few
we
of,
should, we start at 10. But it's 9:30 enough time to run. Yeah. Pretty good about this.
Where is it again?
It's,
I wrote it down.
it's in the last email, the address.
Oh, okay.
But to take Highway 100, I don't know what road it is. It was one of the-
County Road 9 or something, I think.
You know, work or
Oh,
hospital.
Glenwood Hills.
Yeah, going to Glenwood Hills. And it's like you get off the hill, you turn at the first stop sign. There's 2 choices. Stop at the first stop sign. It's really tucked away in the neighborhoods. I thought Siri had it wrong.
Essex Creek Drive. Essex Creek Drive. All right.
And we have one famous congregant. That's Skip Humphries.
all right, are we done for now?
15 break?
What time?
Can I say something?
Sure.
Leave at about 11:15 or 11:20.
You gotta think. You gotta think.
Oh, dear.
You have to get out of the class.
Yeah.
When are we?
Well, we could sing one more song if you want to see.
Are you running that too? That one's live too, right? Or is it?
Are you
Up
trying
one?
to decide?
We're gonna play with that right now.
Yeah.
So we need to sing something?
Yeah.
That land,
Go with me to that.
wave at us when we're supposed to sing. To sing twice. Ken's busy writing. Do you have to officiate in this wedding? Are you? Well, he's in charge. Oh, for heaven's sakes, can I do it for free? For free, that's probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the first.
I think you paid your dues along the way.
Will this help?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, God, siblings.
Oh, God.
God, siblings.
What's number 5 too?
Just in case. You have to sing something for
What does he need?
Sing come go. Come go with me to that land. Come go with me
to that land.
Come go with me to that land.
Come go with me to microphone number 4. Come go with me to that land. Come go.
We'll just do a couple. I don't have the music, so
I did.
We all know it.
Go with me to that land where
come go with me to that land.
I'm going.
I never leave home without it.
Or this land.
I got that one too.
That one I can play without thinking.
What are we doing?
Which one?
This land is your land, this land is my land.
From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbed up highway, I saw above me that in the skyway, I saw below me the golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is yours, this land is mine. From Maine to Montana, desert to the shore, we're singing. This land is yours, this land is mine. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and ran.
Not sure what you do.
Are we done?
But you were probably practicing your lip syncing anyway.
I'm lip syncing?
We couldn't hear you.
That could get closer to you. That's a long ways away. I mean, getting closer to the two of you. Because it's just for you guys.
Oh, that's, isn't that an old saying, Orlando? Orlando. I want to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Say something.
Something. Something louder. Even from here. Huh?
Because I turned off the microphone.
Oh.
This makes me up very tight.
Take 5.
Probably.
just that. Take your Jimmy Buffett self back.
mouth is worse. And we're so far back from the scale. It's hard to track. So, let's see.
Lake Area Methodist.
Yeah. Maybe it's, those are every neighborhood's turnover and stuff.
But I mean, there are a lot of young people.
Oh, yeah.
But then it's so hard. Every sentence.
Right. Right. And we might get to it. Yeah, but they want to be
Well, from a religious point of view or a political.
because this church is so
What?
And my daughter said, my 55-year-old, I said, I'm not looking for any just to hear it.
They just don't want to.
She said, I can't affect it. It doesn't, I can't do anything in my life to change all this. So all I do is get upset.
I listen to David Brooks for 5 minutes on Fridays on PBS News.
That's it.
I just, his perspective on stuff. So it's PBS.
Well, yeah. He's been so sucked into the far right. It's a lot. Yeah. He was one of his Jehovah's Witnesses. And then he decided that one. I thought, you are so susceptible to propaganda.
Singing this much is so hard producing. Singing this much is so hard producing.
Yes. I know. I decided to try honey and lemon this morning.
It's really good. I have some special kind of sausage things, but I ran out and I should.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think as you age, of course, and I don't use my vocal cords, you know, typically on all these things that cheers to give yourself some words.
Not actually just really close.
No, empty route. That's why I try to hold back and we're practicing, but it's hard to do that. I mean, I kind of want to project and, you know, it's just kind of a normal reaction. I get myself in there. Try to dial it back.
It's hard. I have so much allergy to wine, and it creates this really hair that
There's a ledge in the back of your mouth and down your throat just a little bit, I think.
But you know,
I seem to have whatever it is, kind of a sinus drainage thing constantly. You know, it's not like my nose is full or anything like that, but so I do have to talk about it. I think I might have a cold. Yeah.
Because ours, they're stronger. We got stronger. Of this place.
Write it down. Mary tried to get me into this.
I get it. So we stand in the parking lot and bring
Way up.
laptop as opposed to a real one.
This is supposed to like read it's got like psyllium, it's got all kinds of herbs and spices, honey, extracts. No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It just feels wonderful as it goes up.
Yeah, she's there.
Okay.
I have some friends in Baltimore that go over every else sinus disease, and anybody in the homes there in that section.
We're going to watch for people, whatever they do, or don't do, we're doing.
Not so fast.
I'm headed down south to the land of pine, thumbing my way to North Carolina, staring at the road, pray to God I see headlights. I made it down the coast in 17 hours, picking me a bouquet of dogwood flowers, hoping for Raleigh, I can see my baby tonight. So rock me mama like a wagon wheel, rock me mama any way you feel. Mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and the rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Running from the cold up in New England, I was born to be a fiddler in an old-time string band. Baby plays guitar, I pick banjo now. North country winters keep a-getting me down. Money playing poker, so I had to leave town. I ain't turning back, living that old life no more. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, mama, any way you feel. Hey, mama, rock me. Rock me, mama, like the wind and rain. Rock me, mama, like a southbound train. Hey, mama, rock me. Walking through the south out of Roanoke, I caught a trucker out of Philly, had a nice long toke. He's headed west from the Cumberland Gap, Johnson City, Tennessee. Now I gotta get a move on, pay for the sun. I hear my baby calling mommy, and I know that she's the only one. If I die in Raleigh, at least I'll die free. So rock me, mama, like a wagon wheel. Rock me, Good morning. We're going to play some of the songs Nelson brought to us. Nelson introduced us to Wagon Wheel, and Tom Paxton was one of his favorite music writers, composers, singers. And Nelson brought us this next song too, called "How Beautiful Upon the Mountain." And he wrote a verse for us. The fourth verse will be from Nelson. How beautiful upon the mountain is the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. Across the bridge at Selma you came marching side by side. In your eyes a new world on the way. Hope was in your heart and justice would not be denied. You sang we shall overcome someday. God knows the courage you possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. Marching round the White House, marching round the Pentagon, marching round the mighty missile plants, speaking truth to power, singing peace in Babylon, asking us why not give peace a chance. God knows the courage you possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. This is Nelson's verse. Well, we just had an election and our country's full of fear, wondering what our future's going to be. But we've traveled down this road before and we know what to do. We know we shall overcome again. God knows the courage we possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful on the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful upon the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. Now the generations who have joined us on the road look to you with power in their eyes. Now you know the torch has passed as they pick up the load. Now you see their eyes are on the prize. God knows the courage you possess, and Isaiah said it best. How beautiful on the mountain are the steps of those who walk in peace. How beautiful on the mountain are the steps steps of those who walk in peace. Are the steps of those who walk in peace.
Yes. Table 3. Three, it said. Table 3.
Table 3. I'm not gonna play, you're just
You're just gonna look cute. You better cable it just in case you play something by accident.
Don't start yet. I'm going to talk about this one.
National anthem.
Nelson introduced us to this song too. I think Gretchen wanted us to play the Canadian national anthem, but I think this is it, this one here. It's called Stronger Beer. And Nelson introduced us to this song, and he had a twinkle in his eye. We got to sing this he had us sing at some of his hockey banquets and hockey parties. So this is Stronger Beer, and it was written in 2013, and I think he brought it to us in 2016. But at that time, the Canadian football was bigger than the American football. I think they changed that in 2018, but when he brought this song to us, the Canadian football was larger than the American football. So if your mind wanders during the song, remember the facts. Stronger Beer by Tim Hicks. We eat Smarties, you ate M&Ms. You think all our money looks pretend. Oh yeah, we got Bryan Adams and you got Bruce Springsteen, but we can drink at bars when we're just 19. You got Brad Pitt, we got Keanu Reeves. We got the best lake fishing, you best believe. And you make fun of us 'cause we spell color with a U. You think you're all that, Mr. Red, White, and Blue. We say A, you say y'all. Yeah, we both got pro football, except we got bigger balls and a longer field.
one less down.
We say Zay, sure we watch all your TV. You got Stronger Army down there, but man up here, we got Stronger Beer. You got Dunkin' Donuts, we got Timmy's. We got more land, but bro, you got more cities. You sure love the NFL, the MLB, and the NBA, but to the great white north, hockey is the only game. We say A, you say y'all. Yeah, we both got pro football, except we got bigger balls and a longer field.
One less down.
We say Z, you say Z. Sure, we watch all your TV. You got a Stronger Army down there, and then up here, we got Stronger Beer. So here's to you, my southern neighbor. All kidding aside, it takes me 6 beers to get real drunk. For you, it takes 9. We say y'all, you say y'all. We both got pro football, except we got bigger balls and a longer field.
One less down.
You say Z, you say Z. Sure, we watch all your TV. You got Stronger Army down there, but man up here, we got Stronger Beer.
We got Stronger.
We got Stronger Beer. One more. We got Stronger Beer. He had a twinkle in his eye, didn't he, sometimes? He did. And Nelson loved Four Strong Winds, Ian and Sylvia, Canadian singer-songwriters. And sing along with us if you know the words. Here we go. Four strong winds that blow lonely, seven seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. For the good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I never act this way. Think I'll go out to Alberta, where there's good there in the fall. Got some friends that I can go to working for. Still I wish you'd change your mind if I asked you one more time. But we've been through that 100 times before. Four strong winds that grow lonely, seven seas that run high, all these things that don't change, come what may. For the good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I'm ever back this way. If I get there before the snow flies, and if things are looking good, you could meet me if I sent you down the fair. But by then it would be winter, not too much for you to do, and those winds sure go cold way out there. Four strong winds that blow lonely, seven seas that run high, all those things that don't change, come what may. For the good times are all gone, and I'm bound for moving on. I'll look for you if I never act this way.
God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. We want to welcome each and every one of you who are participating in this celebration of life on this day of Nelson Otto. He was a mandolin player and a member of the folk group. So the folk group will be our musicians for this service because he was a musician with the folk group. So I hope you've enjoyed their medley, and they will sing, and we will sing with them throughout this service. My name is Pastor Ann Fitzgerald. My colleague Mark Wellnagel, Pastor Mark, will be our preacher and co-celebrant this morning. We come together on this day to celebrate the life of Nelson Otto. We come to support the family and to pray with you. And now will you join with me in prayer? God, we remember the slenderness of the thread which separates life from death, and the suddenness with which it can be broken. Help us to remember that on both sides of that division, we are surrounded by your love. Persuade our hearts that when our dear one dies, neither we nor they are parted from you. In this time together, may we find your peace. And in you, God, may we be united with Nelson and all who have died, and find the promise of life that is larger than death, and the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Will you join with me in our call to worship? That after the rain, the sun will shine. One, that after darkness, light appears. That winter always brings the spring. That after sleep, we awake again.
That life goes on and love remains.
And life and love can never die.
Amen.
I invite you to stand as you are able and join with the folk group in singing Down to the River.
Studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, siblings, let's go down, come on down. Oh, siblings, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Good Lord, show me the way. Oh, sisters, let's go down, come on down. Oh, sisters, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Oh God, show me the way. Oh children, let's go down, come on down. Oh children, let's go down in the river to pray. As I went down in the river to pray, studying about that good old way, and who shall wear the starry crown? Oh Lord, show me the way.
Good morning. I'm Mark Stratton. I'm a friend of Nelson's. We share similar interests in classic cars, local draft beer, good food, and other things. I enjoyed his ideas and his occasionally exasperating company. In homilies like this, a famous person quote is required. So, here's one that reminds me of Nelson, by George Bernard Shaw. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is a sort of splendid torch, which I have got hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly before handing it on to future generations. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die. Wow. So Bernard Shaw was a playwright. Wikipedia classified him also as a polemicist. Polemicist? So I looked it up. The word polemic means contentious rhetoric. Now we're talking, huh? This sounds like another interesting parallel to our friend Nelson Otto. I got to know Nelson back in the 1990s when we both served on the session, which is the governing body of this church. In session meeting, contentious debate is not usually necessary, but occasionally Nelson used Robert's Rules of Orders and Nelson's polemic method to illustrate ideas in a different light and to work towards agreement. Usually. And usually I agreed with him. And I had to smile as I watched him work with that sparkle in his eye. Also in the 1990s, this church had a softball team. We played every Tuesday in the Minnetonka-Hopkins Rec League. Huge fun. I see some teammates here today. But there are a lot of busy guys in this church, as you can imagine. So sometimes it was hard to field 9 players, 10 players out of a lineup of 20 on a Tuesday at 6:30 in the afternoon. Nelson was always there. And luckily for me, the team manager, my teenage son, Chris, was a decent shortstop. And Chris had some high school buddies who could substitute on short notice. One Tuesday, as I was at the catcher's plate, I looked at the players and I realized that the combined age of the first baseman, the shortstop, and the center fielder did not equal that of the second baseman, Nelson. Not much got by Nelson at second base anyway. And his polemicness aimed at umpires and opposing pitchers once got him tossed out of a game by an angry ump. Yikes. But we remaining 9 players, we were fired up. We rallied and we won. Nelson was always there to help at church, at sports, in life. I lost my place here. In life, our softball team needed practice. So I asked, when would all of us busy fellows like to practice? Straight-faced, Nelson piped up, how about Sundays at 10 a.m.? One player said, wait, but that's Sunday service time. Nelson just smiled, and our pitcher rolled his eyes. He was the pastor. So here's to our Nelson. Na zdrowie.
Nelson. He was one of a kind. And he liked to pick on the new guys in the hockey group, coming into the hockey group. He'd have to break in there. And he would tell them his 3 rules of playing hockey with the group. And he said rule number 1 was, I'm the best player on the ice. And the rule number 2 was, pass me the puck. And rule number 3 was, remember rules 1 and 2. And so he would like to dink around with all the new guys, like I said. And like in warm-ups, he would take the puck and he would try to, shoot the puck off your stick as we're warming up the game. And then he'd flip the puck at your butt, stuff like that. That got to me, to feel louder. Once I fired the puck back at his head. But anyway, you had to fight back. And one story that I remember, some of these guys have heard this before, but one time we were playing Thursday night in Minnetonka, and I had the pleasure of playing with Nelson on the same line that particular night. And he set me up on a real nice pass, and I come in on the goal, and the goalie makes the save. And he throws his glove at me. hits me with his glove. Why didn't you score? I set you up. I missed an assist and all that. So I picked up the glove with my stick and I gave it back to him. I showed him a little respect. And so later on, 5 minutes later, he sets me up and I hit the pipe or something, and he throws the glove at me again. This time I didn't do anything. I let him pick it up. So the third time, this is all true. I'm not making this up. So the third time, he sets me up again, and I don't know if I shot wide or something. I missed. I didn't score, which is kind of a usual thing for me on breakaways. I don't usually score, but anyway, this time he threw us a glove, and it's laying on the ice, and I pick it up with my stick, and I heaved it into the end blues, and I think it was a backhand when I did it. Anyway, so yeah, you got to fight back. Unfortunately, that night, or fortunately for Nellie, but one of Dell's grandkids was there watching Dell play, so he got the glove back. Otherwise, he would have played in one glove, I think. but sometimes I would be a wingman in his endeavors to pimp people. And for example, one time Donnie Doan's gentleman from the past, he had a vehicle that had a leaky gas tank. This is all true. This stuff is all. And he's at hockey, and there's a little puddle of gas on the pavement, and I said to Nellie, I says, look at Donnie. Donnie's got a leak in his gas can, and I just mentioned it to him. And so after another beer, Nellie walks over with some matches, and he walks over by his car, and he pretends he's going to light the match. So, what a guy. And so another time in California, my little brother Rick was playing on one of the other Minnesota teams, and he had never met Nelson before. And you were there. So I said to Nellie, I says, you got to get my brother. You got to pimp him. You got to do something, this week that we're down here. And he looked at me with that glint in his eye. He didn't say anything, but I knew he was already plotting something to my brother. Well, we're in the Armstrong Park having a picnic and north of Santa Rosa, and redwood forest, really beautiful. And then I noticed that my brother and Nelson were playing with a frisbee. And I went, oh, that's kind of interesting. And every time they threw, Nelson would get a little bit closer to my brother, and he'd throw the frisbee a little harder. And I could see my brother, he was thinking, what the hell's going on? And then finally they got really close, and then my brother started to get mad at him. And finally, I heard a female voice, Nelson, please come over here. And of course, we all knew who that was. She was the only one that could control the son of a But there was a different side of Nellie. I mean, he was a mediator. I mean, at first I didn't know this, and he was a mediator. That was part of his consulting work. And I always thought, once I found that out, I always thought, well, how can a guy, mediate two warring disputes, whether it's union or whatever, and then be such a, numbskull, another bringing people apart, tearing them together. But and the other thing I didn't know about him at first was that he was a musician, and I didn't know that. And we were in California one time. We were at a Mexican restaurant, and we're eating and drinking, and they had a mariachi band there. And all of a sudden, and they were traveling from table to table, and all of a sudden, he asked one of them if he could borrow their fiddle, or violin, I think it was. And so he's with the band serenading everybody, including us. I thought that was so cool. I go, this is a different part of Nellie I didn't know. But I have one more story.
when we were out east playing a tournament, and Phil Zitwell, he was the mastermind of all our victories, and all their tournament success. And he wanted to put together an all-star lineup, rivaling the production line of the Red Wings or the Uke line of the Bruins from way back when. And he put together Terry Noble, Chucker, and of course Nelson. So here you've got 3 prima donna centers. So Chucker was playing center because he was the oldest. So we were playing this game, and we had the game, we were comfortably ahead. And we had a 3-on-1. The boys were on the ice, and they had a 3-on-1. And Chucker, he fakes the pass to Nellie, and he gives the puck to Terry, and Terry goes in and scores a real nice goal. And after that, Nelson says to Chucker, "Why didn't you pass me the puck?" This is all his competitive nature. "I was open." Well, they were both open. So. But, oh, what a guy! But anyway, we're going to miss the little curmudgeon. he was quite a guy. We'll all miss the little shit.
When Gretchen sent me an email asking if I would say a few words at Nelson's get-together, I immediately took out my legal pad and filled about 20 pages. Then she sent one later telling me it was going to be in the church. 19 and a half pages got torn out of it. I ended up with just a little paragraph. Nelson was a special person. He wore many hats, as you saw in his obituary, and obviously many of you knew him very well. But he was a character. I was subjected to the same grueling that Bob did when I first met him. He said, "Look, Terry, if you want to play on this team, there's 3 rules," and that's when he rattled off. Rule number 1, pass it to me. Rule number 2 was pass it to me. And of course, the third one was don't forget 1 and 2. So I finally got my arms around that. And with Nellie, he could tell a joke, and you didn't know whether he was serious or whether he had that little twinkle in his eye. You weren't, which side of the board you need to be on. I said, "Nellie, every once in a while you lie. Don't do it, because you're going to get caught." He said, "It's not a lie. We call it soft mendacity." If you know what mendacity means, right? I had to look it up. It means a lie. And you call it soft mendacity. He was, Nellie the hockey player, Nellie the musician, Nellie the lover of all the Studebegars. How he loved those ugly vehicles, I have no idea. But we used to talk about, he was such an interesting character. You could talk about maybe physics. You could talk about a little bit of chemistry. And he always seemed to chime in with some strong knowledge. And he obviously was widely read. And we used to talk about Kipling for some crazy reason. And the phrases that came to mind that he actually brought up said in the Kubiat of Omer Khayyam, some of you have read it, Kipling has his character explaining the meaning of life to this other gentleman. And he says to him, "The moving hand writes, and having written moves on. And nor all your wit and all your humor can draw back half a line." And I thought about Nellie. The moving hand writes, that of course intimated a higher power, that we're born, we live our life, it moves on, but in the end there's a finality there. We can't draw back half a line. We haven't got that human eraser. If we could, we'd bring life back. But then, of course, then it has no value. But I know he would not want me to stand up here and talk serious, or I would have had some background with Benedictine chant and monks chanting for me, and I would have delivered a funereal speech that would have made you all cry. There's better people here to do that than I can do. So we won't get too heavy. There's many stories with Nellie, and I can share a couple of them with you. I realize I'm in a church, and I may have to use a bad word, Reverend, but I'll soften it up. Nellie never used profanity. I never heard him swear, with one exception. We finished the game one time, and at the end of the game, there was some animosity and bad feelings. So traditionally, as we always do, we line up, and everybody goes down and shakes hands. Say, nice game, way to go. Now, I'm the last one in line. Nellie's in front of me. So I have visual contact with him, and I can hear what's going on. And every time somebody came up and said, nice game to him, he said, A-S-S-H-O-L-E. We'll just use a word. Nice game, A-word. Nice game, A-word. 21 times he used a bad word, rather. You'll have to forgive him. Hockey players in the heat of the battle, sometimes our IQs sink down into the single-digit level. And we say things that we really don't mean. At the end of the line, and I'm the last guy, the gentleman, I said nice game to him, and he pulled me over like this, and I thought, ooh, he wants to go. I dropped my glove. I thought we were going to have a melee there. And Nellie's skating away, and he looks over at Nellie, and he said, who is that guy? And I said, oh, you mean Father Otto? And he said, get out. And I said, I'm not sure if he's either a priest or a bishop. And I thought later I should have made him a Monsignor. Might as well go for broke. Anyway, there is one other story I'll share with you. We were, and again, I don't remember what tournament it was, but the phone rang in the hotel room, and it was Gretchen. Gretchen said, why don't you and Betty come down and have a glass of wine before, can everybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, okay. You want to leave the room? I'll be discreet, I promise you. Anyway, the phone rang, and she invited us up for a glass of wine before we went out for dinner. So my sister and her husband and Betty and I came down there, and we were sitting around enjoying a glass of wine. Nellie was in the bathroom, still getting dressed. And Gretchen shared with us the fact that every time they went out to dinner, she had to inspect his clothing. I mean, she had to look at his shirt, be sure his tie matched the color, tuck his shirt in, and she said he was always a mess. She had to straighten it out. So she's sitting in a chair. Nellie walks out, says he's ready to go. So Gretchen steps up like a brigadier general, and starts to tuck his shirt in and check his cuffs to be sure they were buttoned and everything. And then, you know, there's a central orifice in men's trousers about 6 inches below the central belt. And sometimes it gets left open. And wouldn't you know it, this time it did. And she very discreetly said, you know, Nelson, your fly is open. And he looked down and he said, it's okay. You never saw a dead man fall out of an open window, did you? we stole that. I see my wife is raising her hand. My 5 minutes are up. One other quick story. We play hockey out in Santa Rosa in a Snoopy tournament. And we also, the days we're not playing hockey, we go play golf. And there's a place called the Redwoods that is a beautiful golf course, only 9 holes. Nellie, who never plays much golf, I convinced him, I said, come on out, it's a beautiful day and the scenery's great. So we get to the course and there's a cage where you can practice before you get out there. So I grabbed a bucket of balls and we went in there and we're smacking balls against the chicken wire. And the club pro was right outside giving a lesson. So he's got visual contact with us. He sees us in there. So we're walking out. They announced that they said Nelson tea time. We're walking out, and as we go by the pro, Nelson says to him, you've seen us swing in there. Have you got any pointers? Anything I can do for a better golf game? And he looked at us and gave us kind of a quizzical look, and he said, yes. He said, take 2 weeks off and then quit. So we thank God immediately that we never chose that to make a living. My time's up? Okay. Anyway, normally you would say to a friend, rest in peace. I don't think I can do it, but excuse me. I think as we're here now, he's got to be up there with the big guy raising hell. He probably wants more ice time in New Jerseys, and I can just hear him, and he doesn't belong in the penalty box. He's in one now. You're not going to get out of that one, Nellie. I don't care what you did or you didn't. So I'm not going to say it, bon voyage. Rest in peace, because I don't think he is. He's up there pestering a lot of people. That was his nature. So I'll just say bon voyage and Godspeed.
I'm Phil Ziegler, for those who don't know me. Longtime friend of Nellie. We're here to honor Nellie today. He was a great friend. Off the ice, he was a fantastic friend. On the ice, he was full of shenanigans. And you had to love it after a while, when you got used to it. So, a little story about, because Nellie was more than a hockey player. It's about 20 years ago, the Senior Olympic hockey program, they moved their venue to Blaine, Minnesota for a couple of years. So a team from Laurel, Maryland came to play. The name of the team was Jerry Hat-Tricks. Think about it. Their goal in life was to get a hockey rink at every nursing home. So I was quite familiar with the Jerry Hat-Tricks through my daughter Karen, who played with them out there when she lived in D.C. So every time I go to visit her, I would bring my hockey gear and get to play these guys. They were a great bunch of guys and a lot of fun. And I remember the first time I was in that locker room, they're talking hockey, and I'm thinking, my goodness, these guys are all pros. I mean, they're way they're talking and everything. I'm not sure I could keep up with them. But I got on the ice and I found out there's a lot of good talk, but maybe not so much good hockey. But anyway, so they came to Minnesota to play in the Senior Olympics. So, and I knew that several of them were great musicians and a couple of singers. They really loved some music. So I said, hey, why don't you whole team, why don't you come out to our house for a barbecue, and we'll have a little music afterwards rather than sit around and talk about hockey, because that's kind of boring. And so they all came. So I invited Nellie to bring his violin out to help me entertain these guys. So after supper, we started singing a few songs. I had a whole bunch of music and books and stuff. But Nellie he started playing song after song after song on this violin, which I see you need a new player for your band here, because this guy, he had no music. It was all from memory. And if he didn't know the number, he would say, well, just hum it for me. He would pick it right up. He was a fantastic musician. So the Jerry Hattricks were just super blown away, just amazed with this wonderful man. And so they started their own tournament then shortly after that. And so and they always invited Minnesota to come, and they always asked, now make sure you bring Nellie along with you. Yeah, that'd be great. And so 15 years we went out there. We always won the tournament. And then finally they got tired of that and they uninvited us. But it was always good friends. They always wanted Nellie to be with us. He was just so special that way. So on one of our other tournaments, we were sitting around the pool between games and whatnot. And I asked Nellie, how in the world did this kid from Winnipeg, Canada, ever end up in the Twin Cities? He said, well, I came down here to go to Bethel College. And I looked at him. Bethel College? They don't have any hockey. What? No, he says, at the time, I was thinking about going into the ministry. I said, really? I says, what happened to that dream? He said, it just didn't quite work out. I said, I bet you I know what happened. He looks at me. I said, I bet you got in an argument with God about how he was handling things here on earth. And he gets that twinkle in his eye, and he says, and I was right. Anyway, what a great man. I have to add on one of Bob's stories. I wasn't going to talk about any hockey stories, but one time we were playing this tournament, and it was a pretty tight game. I think we were up 2-1 or something. Nellie gets a penalty, goes in the penalty box, and we scored a short-handed goal. With the number of 3-1. He's still in the penalty box, and we scored another short-handed goal. The ref comes over to us and says, say, should I just keep him in the box? And we all said, yes! Anyway, so today I can just visualize that Nellie's up in heaven organizing a hockey league for all us guys to be there. Now it's taken a bit of time because he's negotiating the rules that to his advantage, of course. But when it's all said and done, you know, Nellie, if you're listening today, I just want to let you know, I really want to be on your team. I really want to play. It's a whole lot more fun to play with you than it is against you. But you're a special guy, and I'm going to miss you, and I'm going to miss all your shenanigans. You're a great man, and let's never forget it. Thank you.
This is River by Bill Steens, and it says to join us on the refrain, but if you know the words, join us wherever you want. I was born in the path of the winter wind. I was raised where the mountains are old. Their springtime waters come dancing down. I remember the tales they told. the whistling ways of my younger days too quickly have faded on by, but all of their memories linger on like the light in a fading sky. River, take me along in your sunshine, sing me a song ever moving and winding and free. You rolling old river, you changing old river, let you and me, river, run down to the sea. I've been to the city and back again. I've been moved by some things that I've learned. Met a lot of good people and I called them friends. Felt the change when the seasons turn. I've heard all the songs that the children sing, and I listen to love's melodies. I've felt my own music within me rise, like the wind in the autumn trees. River, take me along in your sunshine, sing me a song ever moving and winding and free. You rolling old river, that changing old river, let you and me, river, run down to the sea. Someday when the flowers are blooming still, someday when the grass is still green, my rolling waters will round the bend and flow into the open sea. So here's to the rainbow that's followed me here, and here's to the friends that I know. And here's to the song that's within me now. I will sing it wherever I go. River, take me along in your sunshine, sing me a song ever moving and winding and free. You rolling old river, that changing old river, let's you and me, river, run down to the sea.
Hello, I'm his son, John. For all you hockey players out there who thought you had it bad, just imagine being the coach's son. I spent more time in the penalty box as a kid for penalties I didn't take because he was yelling at the ref who got a bench minor. I guess he had to say that. Nothing can make up for the absence of someone we love. It's nonsense to say God fills the gap. God doesn't fill it, but on the contrary, God keeps it empty and so helps us keep alive the communion with each other, even at the cost of pain. The dearer and richer our memories, the more difficult the separation. But gratitude changes the pangs of memory into a tranquil joy. The beauties of the past are born, not as thorn in the flesh, but as a precious gift in themselves. My dad loved Bonhoeffer, and that quote gave our family a lot of comfort after Nelson's passing. The shared knowledge of those that came before helped give us hope that better days will return. I'm not as talented a speaker as the others, so I will be going for notes. I have so many things I'd like to say, but of course that would take hours. So instead, I'll try to speak just a bit to his skills and philosophies. A little bit of background. As you heard, he was born in Winnipeg, came down here to go to school at Bethel. After graduating as an immigrant, in order to stay in the USA, he had to get a job related to his field. When given a list of possible choices, the Multi-Resource Center was the only listing that had a phone number next to it. So he called them and ended up getting a job there. He worked with adults and troubled teens in continuing education, developed training programs that the Department of Labor used nationwide, and eventually he became the director of a 6-state region. In 1976, he went back to school. He earned a doctorate from the U of M on August 22nd, 1980. That's 43 years to the day that he passed. But he didn't make a big deal about his diploma. For 43 years, it sat in a manila envelope. When my friends would come over, they would ask me, well, should we call him Dr. Otto? And he said, well, it depends. Are you planning on hiring me for a lecture? When they said no, he said, yeah, then you don't need to bother calling me doctor. Even one of his brother-in-laws forgot that he had a doctorate. That's how little he cared about that. But the best thing about it to him was that his hockey friends, because of his initials, Nelson Otto, now called him Dr. No. But he didn't care about the titles, he cared about education, knowing that it would open doors to the future. And so he became a futurist, first with Anticipatory Sciences Incorporated, and then on his own with Visionary Management. His job was to look to the past and changing trends to tell businesses, organizations, and school districts what they needed to do to keep up with and help shape the future. If any of you had kids that went to the Minnetonka School District, and I guess Hopkins, I just found out this morning too, know that among Nelson's hundreds of thank you letters were quite a few from Minnetonka praising him for the help that he gave them and the foundation that he laid that has made it one of the best school districts in the state today. Dad believes that good ideas can come from anywhere, that true visionaries create and shape the future, and that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. He, of course, wanted to grow and progress. One of his papers states, the most effective way to get control of the future is to create the desired future that you want. Vision is the ability to see the same things that others see, but to arrive at different conclusions. The most powerful thing in the world is a shared vision. It has the power to energize individuals and organizations, find resources, and create totally new pathways. It serves both as a magnet to draw us in a certain direction and also provide illumination along the way. And those philosophies made him sought after all around the country. But along the way, as you heard, he fell into negotiations. He didn't believe in confrontational negotiations, I guess, unless it was with his friends and family outside of work. He believed in win-win scenarios, which he always thought were possible. But that's not to say he wouldn't take advantage of personal negotiations when possible. Like the time he claims he invented the minivan. He went to... Oh, he claims it. He's still, yeah. He went to Dodge in 1978 and said, I want a small van to take my family around the country. And they said, well, that doesn't exist. We don't have anything like that. So, being oppositionally defiant, since he couldn't get the small van he wanted, he got the 15-passenger extended, absolute biggest van that he possibly could. Family used it to travel all over North America, Canada and North America. But he got such a good deal on it that the next day he got a call from the dealership offering him $100 in 1978 to walk away from the deal, because it turns out they sold it to him less than cost. He bargained him down that much. Of course, he said no, and 45 years later, we still own that van. But it could go both ways. He once put up an old Ford Escort for sale. A recently married graduate student who just had his first child asked if he would take $600 for it. Dad looked at him and said, no, I can't do that. But I will take $500 for it if you go to Sears with me right now and put new tires on it. The author Mark Halpern wrote, there were no illusions about mortality. He knew that it made everyone perfectly equal and that the treasures of the earth were movement, courage, laughter, and love. The wealthy could not buy these things. On the contrary, they were for the taking. Dad knew this. He believed it, and he lived it, in large part thanks to all the friends and family who are here today. The impact that his friends had on him and our family, from teaching him to cross-country ski, to buying a small family resort with Gretchen's family, the small groups at St. Luke, worldwide travel, the hockey trips, games, dinners, the chance to play music with friends. As the saying goes, it's the family that you're born with and the family that you make along the way. Thanks to all of you, he had one hell of a run. In the final months of his life, he had good days and he had bad days, but he never stopped teaching us lessons. One particularly good day 3 weeks before he passed, we had a discussion about his illness, the tests, and what the possible outcomes might be. Although we were still hopeful at that point, I told him that it's possible that it could be something we can't do anything about. He thought about it for a moment, looked at me, and just simply said, "That's life." Although not eager for it, he was comfortable and accepting. But again, on his bad days, particularly a bad day where he was having a little more trouble speaking, a little more trouble doing much, we were trying to get through a task, and I told him at the end of it, "I've got a surprise for you." And we finished it, and I pointed over towards the doorway, and my mom just walked in. Out of nowhere, again, not having a good day. Simply and slowly, he just simply said, "I love you," to my mom. As if it was the most important thing in the world that he wanted to make sure she knew. If it was the last thing he did with his strength, he would have been fine with that. Now that was a far cry from my childhood when I would ask him how they met, and he would answer me, "Well, she found me cowering under a produce table at a grocery store and had pity and took me home." Finally, I want to talk about his favorite day of the year. Those who knew him well would likely say it's Christmas. And he did have great traditions, made a lot of great food, had over-the-top gifts, and this crazy notion that you shouldn't open all your gifts in one day to help avoid the inevitable holiday letdown. Instead, we took our time, and I mean, we really took our time. I could go back to school a week later and get asked, "What did you get for Christmas?" And I'd have to reply, "I don't know yet." No, his favorite day of the year, the one he looked forward to the most, was the winter solstice, the shortest and darkest day of the year. To him, this day marked the end of the struggle, the end of the darkness, and meant that only brighter days lay ahead. So as we contemplate this beautiful sadness that Bonhoeffer described, I look for the hope and optimism that my dad had. It made me think of a similar sentiment from a book Dad would read to us as kids. Winnie the Pooh sums up Bonhoeffer well, simply saying, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard." Thank you, Dad. I miss you.
I'm Ben, also one of Nelson's children. I have this feeling that if my dad were sitting here right now, he'd say, it's time to start the real roast. But in his memory and the spirit of being contrary, I'm going to instead offer a few thoughts about Dad as a father. My earliest memories of Dad are of him singing us asleep with his old Aspen guitar, folk songs mainly. I wouldn't say age-inappropriate folk songs, but Tom Paxton, Bill Staines, it was pretty heady stuff, and the stuff of what turned into late-night chats with Dad. At one point, I remember I began worrying that I was going to be called into battle soon. I don't know if we were going through a Dylan phase or just what it was. But Dad told me not to worry. If that happened, we'd just go to Canada. That was the first time I knew my dad was from a foreign land, and I was impressed that he'd come from such a place. In hindsight, I think he could have just pointed out to me that I was 6 years old. But Canada worked, and I slept. The most requested song of those night sessions was also the most existentially terrifying, Puff the Magic Dragon. You might recall that little Jackie Paper and Puff sail the world intimidating pirates, collecting sealing wax. Until one great day it happens, the boy grows up, the dragon disappears. Well, what happened to Puff? I wanted to know, and I asked him every night. Dad didn't have a simple answer, but he kept playing the song, and we kept talking about it. And slowly he walked me through the seasons of a life, what it meant to accept the changes of life, even when it's akin to death. Dad celebrated life, and he spent a lot of time celebrating with us and cultivating a sense of wonder in our lives. We named the deer trails behind the house. We drove across the country in that van, buying postcards and staying at $4 campsites. On a fall Wednesday in 1987, there was a parade for the Minnesota Twins after they'd won the World Series. Dad rocked up to junior high in the Dodge minivan, maxi van, and took a dozen of us downtown to see it. Some things were worth playing hooky for. He lived a creative life, sometimes provocative. There was a Halloween he dressed up as Saddam Hussein. There was a full-size farm tractor he kept in the side yard of a suburban Minnetonka home. The summer he told me that, legally speaking, we could probably put a McDonald's in the driveway. One year we knocked down a tree in the backyard and ended up taking in 2 baby squirrels for a couple months. When they were big enough, we released them. I'd say for about the next 5 years, Dad spoke to every squirrel that came onto the back porch. Certain they were Alfonso and Bartholomew coming home. He was an explorer, curious about the world, and he passed that along to his kids. One winter, he booked the family on a Caribbean cruise by offering to speak on board. I don't know how he pulled it off, but I don't know how he pulled off half the things he pulled off. Each day he'd do a little work, and then we'd snorkel or play the slots, walk the decks at night. We arrived at Barbados on a rainy day. Almost no one wanted to leave the ship. But I wanted to, and Dad was game, so off we went. He found us an old taxi without seatbelts, and we proceeded to travel around the entire island all day in the rain, deep into the countryside, meeting people, learning about the history, about the agriculture. By afternoon, we realized we didn't have any food. We were still a long way from port. Just as we did, we pulled up alongside a giant truck of sugarcane. Dad had a few words with the driver, and suddenly the back seat was full of sugarcane. I think he liked just putting the puck in play and making it up as he went. As we got older, he never set a curfew for us. I haven't checked with my siblings, but he never set a curfew as long as I did. On the weekends, I'd get home at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and almost always there was one light on in the entire house. Dad in the living room, reading in his chair, waiting for proof of life. I asked him once about his philosophy of raising kids, and he said something about giving people room. I think he believed that people had to have space to find out who they are, to chart their own course as he had, to make mistakes as he had. He'd made his way from a late graduation in Winnipeg to an unheated cabin on Bass Lake, and from there slowly found his way to a PhD and a family of 5 and everything after. In his office at home, he kept a proverb printed out: "Do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time." He always said he felt he did something right in raising his kids, because by the time we each reached 18, we were all ready to get out of the house. I always appreciated that he took it that way and not another. Dad continued to do his thing as he aged, and he stayed curious. In France, he walked the beaches of Normandy for more than an hour in a gusting wind, trying to picture the Canadian and other troops storming the beach in a war that had begun just as he entered the world. I saw that look on his face many times in Asia and Africa, up north in the Iron Range, along the North Shore. Always, what happened here? What's happening now? In adulthood, I came to know my dad as probably many of you knew him all along. Generally amused, pleasantly skeptical, not averse to wasting a telemarketer's time. I began to see him on the comics pages of the Star Tribune. He was Snoopy, he was Crankshaft, sometimes he was Dennis the Menace. But I also came to see the thinking side of him, the product of living an examined life, the product of late nights in the living room chair. Beyond the provocation, I felt that an unspoken credo of his life, and something that he passed along to his family, was also to live and let live. And he did both for as long as I knew him. Just to say one last thing, he was so thankful in the final days of his life. And I know he'd be thankful to see this gathering of people here today. His nieces, his nephews, the Van Werdens up from Iowa, Nebraska. His sisters and others watching from afar. His hockey friends. People here who knew him for more than 50 years. This congregation that provided one of the focal points for his thinking life. His wife, Lee, John. In the past couple of weeks, the family has been having some lighter moments watching for signs of death. The day after he died, we were visited by a squirrel on the back porch. Yesterday, my brother and I were driving his old cars over here. Two of them. And at a four-way stop, a Ferrari pulled up between us. And had to creep along with us at about 35 miles an hour for the next 3 miles around Lake Minnetonka. I think of my dad in moments like that. But more than anything, I see him here. He loved to party. And as my mom said, he would have loved the attention. So on his behalf, thank you all. My mom. She's always said that she knew within 3 weeks of dating Dad that he was the one. And that even though he can be this or he can be that, we've heard some of it today, some things you can't say in a church, even if it's Saturday, that she would do it all again in a heartbeat. You don't get to choose your father, but if you did, I'd say the same. I'm glad he was my dad. I'll miss him. I'd like to close with a Native American prayer. I give you this one thought to keep. I am with you still. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am a diamond that glints in the snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not think of me as gone. I am with you still in each new dawn.
Let's try that again. It's called a mute. It's a long and a dusty road, it's a hot and a heavy load, and the folks I meet are always kind. Some are bad, some are good, some have done the best they could, and some have tried to ease my troubling mind. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. I can't help but wonder where I'm bound. And I'm through this land, just doing the best I can, trying to find what I was meant to do. And the people that I see are as worried as can be, and it looks like they're wandering too. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. I can't help but wonder where I'm bound. If you see me passing through and you sit and wonder why, and you wish that you were a rambler too, nail Nail your shoes to the kitchen floor, hang them up and bar the door, and thank the stars for the roof that's over you. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. I can't help but wonder where I'm bound. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. I can't help but wonder where I'm bound.
After all those hockey stories, I'm glad that Ben and John brought a little bit of the seriousness, so I'm not the only one. And I also know at my church, if the service isn't over in an hour, I get kicked out of the pulpit. So I'm thankful for your patience this morning. It's an honor to be with you today and to remember the life of Nelson, to be here in the loss you feel, and to commit ourselves to living life to the fullest with the gusto and joy that Nelson showed us. To the family of Nelson, to you, Gretchen, John, Ben, Leah, and to the other family members, may you find comfort and peace in these moments. When I met with you the other day, one or a couple of you said, I don't know how to do this. The simple fact is, none of us know how to do the death of a loved one, someone so dear. But the lesson we've learned over the years of loss is that if we do it together, we find a way. We find the strength to endure and move on to a new reality in life. To all of us who are gathered here today to remember Nelson, it is hard to lose a dear friend. You hockey players, what a wonderful friendship you had. And to all of you who are pilgrims on life's journey with Nelson, I know that our hearts ache for one more word, one more song, one more puck in the hole, one more moment that will not come. But I also know our loss is tempered in the days ahead by the grace-filled realization that we were able to be blessed with Nelson's presence in our lives. When one ponders the gifts of life that come our way undeserved, often in mysterious and wondrous ways, Nelson was one of those gifts for many of us, for which we can be thankful. In the days and weeks ahead, as our hearts start to mend and our souls can open up once again, we will sense in new and poignant ways the spirit of Nelson still with us. Now in this time, after hearing these wonderful reflections from family and friends, I would like to offer two thoughts based on the wise words of one of Nelson's favorite theologians. Many of you probably didn't know Nelson liked to read theologians. But he liked to read and think deeply on the realities and meaning of life. As a futurist, his mind was always churning, pondering, contemplating, not only what the future would be, but what the meaning of the future was for us. I think this is what attracted Nelson to Paul Tillich, one of the great philosophers and theologians of the 20th century. While I'm not sure which lines of Tillich Nelson would have resonated most deeply with, I have a good sense that these few lines of Tillich's I'll share with you this morning spoke to him out of his life's experiences. First, Tillich wrote, being religious means asking passionately the question of the meaning of our existence and being willing to receive answers, even if the answers hurt. If you spent much time around Nelson, you know that he was always asking questions, sometimes in the form of a statement or a challenge to your thoughts. But often I believe It was out of a deeper effort to understand the meaning of our existence. In his early years and for many decades, he read the Bible daily, but found that the violence of the Bible, especially parts of the Old Testament, not only were troublesome to him, but contrary to his understanding of the goal of faith. One time on a Sunday morning when I used a passage from the Old Testament, Nelson confronted me after worship. Told me I shouldn't have used that. As he moved away from the traditional religion in which he grew up, in Paul Tillich he found a friend who affirmed for him that which Tillich espoused. Doubt isn't the opposite of faith. It is an element of faith. This, I surmise, freed Nelson to grasp Tillich's other dictum, that faith is the state of being ultimately concerned. In this understanding, Nelson was able, I think, to blend together both his religious beliefs and his life's work in helping people to move beyond themselves, both to a broader vision of community and to what our role in creating that community should be. To ruminate, to question, to seek that which is of the ultimate concern in life, opens the doors to new meaning and challenging understandings of the divine presence in our lives. Those answers are not always easy to comprehend or adhere to. They push us, they shove us to grapple with our own souls in the search for meaning. Even in Nelson's contrarian way, I sense that there was much more than simply raising a bit of controversy. Rather, it was to test the edges of what life is all about, where we stand in our commitments, and what gives us enough purpose and meaning that we're willing to make it that which is our ultimate concern. In this, Nelson showed us a lesson, that faith is something to be tested, questioned, explored, and refined, such that in cutting through the dross, we arrive at a faith we can claim that is real for ourselves. Second, Nelson had a favorite saying which I cannot quite remember properly, but it is reflective of what Tillich said about how to live a full life. They who risk and fail can be forgiven. They who never risk and never fail are a failure in their whole being. There was no sitting on the bench for Nelson, and he hated being in the penalty box. Life was for the taking, if you were to find all that it was meant to be for you. From music to hockey, family outings to church gatherings, time at the lake, and time working on his classic cars, time was given as a gift to be cherished and used up in full measure. There is such an extravagant beauty in life. Wonder abounds all around us. Knowledge seeps in from all directions. Energy awaits to be released, and time awaits for no one. That was the world of Nelson, full to overflowing with the goodness and joy of life. Not sitting back, but always moving ahead. Not afraid to try something for fear of failing. To quote another famous philosopher, this one a fellow Canadian and a hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Nelson took his shots. If they failed, it didn't mean he was a failure. It simply offered another opportunity to shoot again. Nelson lived an abundant life. And in that abundance, not of money or fame, but in joy and love, he found peace in his life. And he invites us too, for it would be the greatest lesson he would want to pass on. Live life. live life for all it's worth. Find a faith that leads you to what is of ultimate value and meaning. And never fail to try and try again if you fail, or you will miss the beauty and wonder of this life which we each are given, but for a few years on this earth. Amen. Will you join me as we pray together? In the rising of the sun and in its setting,
We remember him.
in the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter,
We remember him.
in the opening of the buds and the rebirth of spring,
We remember him.
in the blue sky and warmth of summer,
We remember him.
in the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn,
We remember him.
in the beginning of the year and when it ends,
We remember him.
when we are weary and need of strength,
We remember him.
when we are lost and sick at heart,
We remember him.
when we have joys to share.
We remember him.
As long as we live, he too shall live, for he is a part of us as we remember him.
On behalf of the family, we'd like to thank the Comfort Choir. We'd like to thank the St. Luke Folk Group. They have blessed us this afternoon, haven't they? They have blessed us. Following the commendation, the benediction, we'll sing one more folk number together. The family, Gretchen, Lee, Ben, John, Leah, 14 family members. The family and I, our deacon Connie, we will, and Pastor Mark will go and place Nelson's ashes in our columbarium. We'll do that after our last sung hymn. And the family would invite you to enter through those doors, and the reception is prepared for you. So please begin the reception, and the family and the deacons, we will come and join you, but please start before we get there. Nelson's ashes are here. And so I pray, Almighty God, by rising from the grave, Jesus Christ conquered death and leads us to eternal life. Watch over Nelson and come to his aid. Give him a vision of your eternal realm of glory, where pain is gone and death shall be no more. Through Jesus Christ, our Savior of our lives, we say amen. Nelson, depart in peace. In the name of God, the Creator who formed you, in the name of Jesus Christ who redeemed you, in the name of the Holy Spirit, the Comforter who sanctifies you, in the communion with the saints and all heavenly hosts, may you rest in peace and dwell forever in God's love. And for our benediction. May God bless you and keep you. May God be gracious to you. And may God look upon you with favor and give you peace this day and all the days of your life. Will you join as you are able and stand with us as we sing our closing hymn, Will the Circle Be Unbroken?
I'd like you to know that John Otto changed the last verse to add his dad's Eyes a Sparkling into the song. So. There are loved ones in the glory whose dear forms you often made. When you close your earthly story, will you join them in their bliss? Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the joyous days of childhood, oft they told of wondrous love, pointed to a dying Savior. Now they dwell with him above. Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. You remember songs of heaven which you sang with childish voice. Do you love the hymns they taught you, or are songs of earth your choice? Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. You can picture happy gatherings round the fireside long ago. And you think of eyes a-sparkling when they left you here below. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord. One more time. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Seems like we've been sitting here forever. Yeah. Those two with me. John, would you bring a music stand with you? I'm taking two. Oh,
I'm taking one.
I can take more.
it again. I know, but I gotta bring the Bible study. Stop.